What's up YouTube community, Bernd here, welcome back to another video lesson. In this video I'd like to show you an amazing trick that has the potential to spice up all of your licks and to give them a more progressive sound. I like to call this concept the chromatic shred trick. So after watching this lesson until the end you will be able to apply this concept to all the scales, licks and arpeggios you already know. We work on this really interesting topic today because you guys voted for the topic of improvisation on the lesson wishlist on Patreon for this month. In case you didn't already know, my patrons over at patreon.com/Bernd get to vote for the lesson topics that I feature on this channel each month. And of course they also get to download the tabs, guitar profiles and practice backing tracks for all of those lessons. So without further ado, let's begin with today's little shredding adventure. So the chromatic or 12-tone scale is a musical scale consisting out of 12 pitches. And each one is a semitone above or below its neighboring pitches. So that essentially means in 12-tone equal temperaments, the chromatic scale actually consists out of every single note that we could play. So if we choose to illustrate that, this is how the chromatic scale looks all across the neck of the guitar. So as you might already know, this is not a very melodic scale that a lot of hit songs are based on. But as soon as you learn how to work with this scale, you will be able to add some chromatic twists to your licks, and that will really make them stand out, especially in a rock and metal context. Because aside from exercises like that, we only really come across it in basic riffs like that one, for example. With riffs like that, we are either ascending or descending. Using this kind of chromatic approach to create tension and dissonance and not really thinking in a major or minor scale, for example. Or we might come across it in licks that are only focused on the chromatic scale. And that sounded pretty much exactly like the exercise I was playing for you in the beginning. So licks like that don't really sound that musical and just add some chaos and insanity to the track. And of course there's nothing wrong with that, but today I'd like to show you a more interesting concept. We can learn so much when it comes to phrasing from blues, jazz and fusion players. And the trick I want to show you right now is something I came across in a lot of solos and improvised takes in these styles of music. So this is what I want you to work on today. As always, you can download the tabs, guitar profiles and practice backing tracks for this lick on patreon.com/Bernd. If you're not part of my shred guitar community over there yet, you might consider joining us today. You can immediately download these helpful files for every single lesson that I uploaded on YouTube so far. And this is also the place where you can get some direct feedback, input and help from me in case you need some further assistance. So let's take a closer look at this really cool concept right now. I was working with the really cool sound of the D Dorian scale right here. This one consists of the notes D, E, F, G, A, B and C. An easy way of understanding and memorizing the Dorian mode is comparing it to the natural minor scale or the Aeolian scale. As you can see on screen, we just have to change one note. We have to change the minor sixth of natural minor to a major sixth for Dorian. So that is the really cool sound of Dorian with that major sixth in there instead of the minor sixth. And instead of just working with the Dorian scale and then going to a chromatic lick, for example, I was just adding a little chromatic twist to some positions of the scale. So instead of just ascending in the scale, starting from the root note D, I was filling up some holes, so to say, with chromatic notes. And by doing that and not just randomly playing chromatic notes, my ear can still identify the Dorian mode, but it gets a really interesting chromatically ornamented sound. And with that minor change, it suddenly gets a really cool sophisticated fusion sound, so to say. So here's the whole lick performed a bit slower once again. So it's really that simple. I just visualize the Dorian scale when I'm playing across the neck, and I'm just filling up some holes with chromatic notes. So with this lesson, I don't just want you to learn this lick or practical example, I want you to understand the concept and to experiment and try it out with all kinds of different scales. Of course, you can also spice up your arpeggios and sweep picking sections with that trick. For this quick example, I was just playing an A minor arpeggio and I was thinking in the A minor scale on the high E string, and once again I was just filling up one hole in the position with a chromatic note. So as soon as you worked on a couple of exercises and licks like that, it will become a part of your musical vocabulary and phrasing, and you will be able to use it in your improvised takes. I really hope that you're excited to try this today and that I could motivate you to add a little chromatic twist to your licks from now on. Don't forget to download your tabs, guitar profiles and practice backing tracks for this lesson on Patreon to get started practicing right now. And also make sure to subscribe to the channel right now if you're not part of the family yet, that way you make sure never to miss another lesson like that again. Thanks a lot for tuning in today and have a lot of fun practicing. I will hopefully see you again in the next video lesson.